Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 2020 podcast, bringing clarity to business, entrepreneurship, and life. I am your host, Dr. Harbir Sian. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me here to learn and to grow. I'm super excited for my guest today. I cannot believe I have the one and only Tom Davies on the podcast with me today. If you don't know Tom, let me give you a quick introduction myself, and then I'm going to pass it over to him to let him tell us a little bit about who he is and what he does. But he has been dubbed the Willy Wonka of eye care. He is Hollywood's go-to frame designer, and his frames have been featured in recent movies and many others, but recent movies such as Cruella and The Matrix Resurrections. He has 3 successful frame collections, TD Bespoke, MD 1888, and his newest collection, Catch London. He truly is a visionary and an innovator in the eyewear space. Please welcome Tom Davies. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, Tom.
You're very welcome. Thanks for asking me here.
Yeah, really, really a pleasure. I'm super excited. You're definitely somebody I've been, watching in the eyewear space for years and kind of like admiring, I should really say, from afar with all the cool stuff that you do, all the, the celebrity collaborations, the movie collaborations, all these things that we're going to talk about. But actually, let me talk about the Willy Wonka thing first. Is that something that people say? And then is it because you invite people into your factory and let them see all the cool things that you do behind the scenes?
I don't know where the Willy Wonka tag came from, but it's happened about 4 or 5 years ago when I opened this factory here in London. I think because I wanted a place I could experiment in and invent things. And there's a lot of the machinery here I've designed myself, which is boring from an engineering point of view, but they are really cool machines. But I also designed the acetate materials here. I invented a thing called the acetate kitchen where we would cook different materials together. And I think the Willy Wonka came before that, but I suppose I've been playing into that a little bit. But even to the point where Willy Wonka itself has overtaken me because I'm currently making glasses for a new movie.
No way. Oh, wow.
And so, so it's sort of, it's becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy in that sense. But yeah.
Do you have Oompa Loompas in the warehouse as well there? Or?
You know what? At my factory opening party, to celebrate all the film work I've been doing, I actually wanted to hire. One of the films I've done was a film called Keeping Mum. It's one of the first films, not Keeping Mum, sorry, Fred Claus, with Kevin Spacey in it. Oh dear. And I've done his glasses, but I also make glasses for all the elves in Santa's village, about 30 pairs of little funky little cool glasses. Anyway, so that was one of the films I was celebrating at my factory launch party. I wanted to hire some elves to do it, but I was overruled by my team who said that would not be politically correct. And then they may be mistaken for envelopes, and then I'd get all sorts of trouble.
In that answer, you touched on so many things that you do. It's crazy. You design some of the equipment, the manufacturing stuff that you have. You do all these other things. Can you tell me, like you're clearly like integrated in like every aspect of what you do. If you were to just sort of list off, like I would think of you as an eyewear designer, but that's not doing enough justice. So tell me what else you would kind of say about yourself.
I mean, I started like any entrepreneur on my own, like as a one-man band. So at the beginning, I did everything. And that was for a good year or so. But I had a good line in pretending that I was a big brand. In fact, my business is 20 years old this year.
Wow.
And 20 years ago, thank you. I'm going to be celebrating it later this year. But 20 years ago, I was pretending to be a sort of a big brand. And it'd take me 20 years to catch up with my exaggeration. We are now where I was pretending to be 20 years ago. But in order to be a big brand 20 years ago, when it was just me, I had to, design systems that would allow me to do it. So I was the first eyewear brand to have a business website, for example, because I used to do a bit of programming as a kid, and I put together a little website, which is still with us today, called Super Tool. It's evolved. There's nothing left of my crappy original code, I can tell you that. That was to allow me to run a warehouse and run stock taking and to sell online in a way that didn't really exist. There's no off-the-shelf software. You couldn't buy any of this stuff. So that meant I could carry on being a one-man band. Then I became a two-man band and a three-man band. And then I decided to open a factory which could make bespoke glasses, but there's no machines that exist that can make bespoke glasses. So you sort of had a look at some other machines and say, well, if I did this to it and I did that to it and I changed that, then could make bespoke glasses. And the same happened with some processes like welding. We want to weld a titanium frame. How do you weld titanium one by one cost effectively? And I figured that secret out as well. And
Wow.
we customized the machines. And so, bit by bit, the machines have grown and we've replaced them. And I've still got my original CNC machine. I'll show you if we go for a little factory tour in a minute, down on the factory floor. I keep it for posterity. The new machines I haven't touched personally, but what I have done is I said it needs to do this, it needs to do that, and it needs to do that. And we've changed and modified them. And our software is still, I don't program anymore, but the software our programs that work with me or for me, and they, I need this frame to do this, I need that to that, and then we reprogram it, and then that feeds directly into the machines. And so I would say I'm a sort of an engineer, I'm a frame designer, and I'm a manufacturer, or I know how to make frames. I can pick up a file and have a go. But I'm also a good salesperson. You've got to be a good salesperson with your own brand. I love marketing. I spend a lot of time in the marketing side of the brand and the social media side. And so I'm pretty ingrained in most areas of the business, even finance, logistics and operations. I'll be involved in most of that all on a day-to-day basis. And, I employ about 100 people at the moment, but I'm still plugged into all aspects, even with the retail. We have 5 stores. I designed the eye test. I say design the eye test. I reinvented the eye test. Let's put it that way. And then the flow of it, but how people interact with machines. And I'm quite proud of our eye test. I mean, a lot of people don't charge enough money for this level of service, optical professionals, certainly in this country, but we charge £150, which is about $200 for an eye test. And we're giving OCT, we're using the HFA and eye profiler, and we're spending over an hour with each patient.
Oh, wow.
And people should pay for that. And we don't, and we run a very successful clinic on that basis. And then people come upstairs. I mean, we're in the UK, we're a little bit linked together, where eye test and sales are kind of linked in a way that America is a little bit more separate. But nevertheless, that works really well for us. And I say, I've probably evolved a bit too much in things. It's probably one of my failures, actually. We're moving the factory around today. I will give you a factory tour, but literally we're moving everything around, and I'm standing there on the mezzanine saying, move this machine this much more, this much more, because it has to look good as well. The factory has to look good as well as actually function. So it's I'm involved in everything.
That's amazing. I feel like ultimately you are like an entrepreneur in like the truest sense. You know what I mean? And I used the word innovator earlier. I think that definitely applies. Actually, the last thing you just said there, that just resonated, because I've been recently happened to have read a couple of passages in some books about that. It's got to also look good. Like, it's not just for the sake of aesthetics, but like for the sake of being complete and seeing it in its truest finished sense. There's a story about Steve Jobs and his dad painting a fence, and his dad tells him to paint the other side of the fence, which faces the woods, which nobody's going to see, but his dad says to do it anyway because that's how it's supposed to look. And that he kind of carried that message into his life at Apple, and that reminds me of kind of what you're saying here about, and it makes sense. It resonates with everything else that you do, and the designs that you have, and the experience that you're setting up at your stores for people to have this full, complete experience. It's really cool to see that. And, to see that in a true entrepreneur as well. There's something you said right in the beginning that I wanted to touch on. So the subtitle of this podcast is bringing clarity to business, entrepreneurship, and life. So the entrepreneurship part is really important. And I didn't actually think about how valuable this part of the conversation would be with you, because I was going to talk about the brand and the designs and, Expo and all this. But you had 20 years ago this vision of where you wanted it to be. Like, it's hard to stick to that plan. Can you give me some ideas, like for somebody who might be starting out now or early in that journey? It's a slog. You have to sort of fake it till you make it to some degree. Any tidbits of information or advice you might be able to share from that?
I don't know if this is going to work for anybody else, but I'll tell you what works really well for me. I'm very good at fantasizing about what I'm going to spend my lottery win on. And I do that. I think big. I think, in order to visualize, it's easy to have big plans and big goals, but it's sometimes hard to visualize it and think you're going to be that successful. I had an overall mission, which is to be the biggest independent eyewear brand in the world. And I'm not close enough to that yet. But I remember when I told this to my finance guy at the time, he laughed. I said, "What are you laughing at?" He says, "No, I love your ambition." But for me, that was just that was a certainty. But It's taken me a lot longer to get to where I am now, and I'm still only probably about halfway there. But nevertheless, the vision and the dream are coming close together. But in terms of lottery fantasies, I played every single national lottery in the UK since it started 20 years ago, or
Oh, wow.
longer than that, probably 25, 26 years ago. And I spend, far too much time thinking about what I'm actually going to spend my winnings on. And quite often it will be, mostly my old lottery fantasy was I'm going to start a factory in London, and I'm going to have my own shops in central London, and I'm going to spend this much money in the Financial Times to advertise my brand. And I'm going to have a big fat fancy car. I'm going to have a big giant house in Richmond where I'm going to live. I'm going to have a PA. And basically, most of it was like lifestyle projection, but on the business and the success of the business. And it was only about sort of 4 or 5 years ago. And I thought, bloody hell, I've actually won the lottery, haven't I? Because I've achieved all of those things. So we have this thing in England where you have the national lottery, then you have the Euro Millions. That's where all Europe plays. And you get this like near $1 billion jackpot. So you can imagine now the scale of my ambition has scaled up to, what I'm going to be spending my money on. But it's basically, I can tell you now, mostly it's a bigger factory and more shops and more brands. But yeah, so I do think about, these things that this is what I want to do. And this, if money's no object and you're going to get investment and you're going to get there, how can you get there? What's it going to cost you? And, what's it going to feel like when you've achieved it? And, I really believe in visualizing your goals to get this sort of wonderful, end result. And yeah, I would say that so far that, I'm getting pretty close to everything I want to do.
Yeah, that's incredible. The visions that you had of what you would do if you had won the lottery, and you're achieving those things from just through your hard work and your dedication. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just 20 years instead of one. But,
Well, yeah, fair enough. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it probably tastes a lot sweeter to achieve it this way than, from pure luck out of the lottery. But on that note, at any point recently taken a moment to sit back and say, wow, look at what how far I've come, and how did that feel?
I did that. I bloody did that in January 2020.
Oh, no.
I sat there with a glass of champagne. Honestly, I sit there, a glass of champagne going, oh, this is it, eh? Oh, look at that, bloody made it. Congratulating myself, toasting my success, having lovely chats with people about how good it was going. And then literally 6 weeks later, it was nearly out of business and everywhere was closed down and doom and gloom. And oh my God. So yeah, I'm not doing that sort of thing at the moment.
Learned your lesson
on that one again.
Fair enough. All right. When did you open this factory that you said 2017? Did I get that right?
Correct. Yeah. So this factory here is 5 years old now. So I used to have a factory in China, but I closed that down. I wanted to do There's two reasons for that. One is China wasn't getting cheap anymore. Actually, 3 reasons. The second reason is, I wanted to do British manufacturing. I wanted to grow the company here, and why should I be buying it from China? And then the third thing was, I'm bloody fed up of flying to China every 6 weeks. There's a lot of jet lag. I was living in perpetual jet lag, frankly. So it was time to do it. So yeah, so here it is. My glorious factory.
Before we go see it, let's talk about the brand a little more. But I think I read somewhere. Did I read this correctly? That do you brew your own gin in the factory as well?
Yeah, amongst other silly things we do here. Yeah, there may be. In fact, there's no gin on brew at the moment. We're doing kombucha at the moment.
Kombucha, okay.
But yeah,
very cool.
I did that for a few years. I haven't done much since COVID. When we're doing trade shows around the world, we'd turn up and we have a gin bar, and so we'd have all these different gins we brewed, and it was a lot of fun until normally what happens when I do silly things like that, you go to another trade show a year or so later and there'll be some other brand there with the gin bar, and you think, time for something else.
But it's nice to be the first one to do it, again, being the innovator. Well, I was going to say, because that really makes me, I was already excited to come and visit the factory someday, but knowing that you brew gin, I was like, maybe I'll fly over now, just get it done right away.
You're welcome to some tequila. There's a very famous tequila producer who I better not mention, because I'll get, but let's just say he's wearing very nice glasses. And I've got a bar full of tequila. You're welcome to come and try.
That sounds great. I'm heading over right now. All right, so let's talk about the brand. Tom Davies. You actually have 3 different brands under the banner of Tom Davies.
There's 3 different brands. There's going to be a 4th, but currently there's 3. And Yeah, there's the House of Tom Davies. So Tom Davies, the problem I had with Tom Davies is, it's funny talking in the third person, but I've been doing it for sort of 16, 17 years at this point, and it's bespoke, and everything I do is bespoke, and it's nice. But I have, I had lots of other crazy ideas that I'd like to do and fun things, and I wanted a vehicle to do something which didn't interfere with the sort of focus that I needed on my Tom Davies brand, and I would like to do some other stuff. So the Tom Davies brand exists, and I have a Tom Davies Precious range, which is 18 karat gold, and
wow.
Here's an 18 karat gold sunglass, for example. That's a $10,000 sunglass.
Wow.
And it's very nice. Oh, lovely. And I have buffalo horns. That's in my Precious collection. So there's Tom Davies Precious, and then you got Tom Davies Bespoke, got Tom Davies Ready to Wear. So there's a lot of Tom Davies there. And that all sits inside the House of Tom Davies. And also inside the House of Tom Davies is Catch London and MD 1888. And MD 1888, that is a brand I wanted to launch it years ago, but basically I've got here a pair of shell frames from my great-great-grandfather. So, and we can see this, but this is it's a beautiful metal hinge on there, and it's a beautiful frame. And my great-great-grandfather was a gentleman called Owen Morgan Davies, who wore these very glasses and was a little bit famous in his time. He was the friend of the Prime Minister of Britain and lived a very well-to-do life in Wales. And then he left. That was his parents. And then my great-great-grandfather left Wales and went to Liverpool in 1888. Oh. And so I liked all this family history story. We researched a lot of it, and I now have MD 1888, this sort of acronym of Morgan Davies, because the family name was Morgan Davies. So it's Owen Morgan Davies, double-barreled name, but my great-great-grandfather dropped the Morgan because it was too posh to have in Liverpool in this period, as he was a steeplejack. So we just became the Davies family. So anyway, that's just celebrating a bit of family history. You know, if you've ever dug into any family history, it's quite fascinating. Yeah. And so that's the Morgan Davies range, and that was the original frame. And then you can see here, I've got, like, for example, I've just done a beautiful thing with this hinge. It's like a homage to the hinge which was on that frame. So all the frames have this. But this collection is, it's in the House of Tom Davies, which means that it has to be a little bit custom or a little bit bespoke. So these frames actually, although it's a ready-to-wear frame, it actually comes in 9 sizes. Oh, wow. And that means you can choose 3 sizes for front, 3 sizes for the arms, and you can change the colors. And you can put nose pads in. So it's a full custom range. So the idea is a customer might like this frame, and as an optical professional, you can get the bigger one or the smaller one, or longer or shorter, put some pads in, and you can choose, any of the arms that are in there. So if you had this there and you wanted to put this arms on, I see. You can do that too. So that's a custom range. Cool. So that's new. This is actually, you're talking about a new range. This one is actually launching in New York, in the New York show in this spring. The other range, which is not new, but it's still new, but I've been selling it for about 3 years, is Catch London. Mm-hmm. So Morgan Davies is actually a Welsh brand. So you've got to think about Great Britain. I've got Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and England. So we'll talk about those another time. But here is England. So Tom Davies is Great Britain. I'm the British brand because I feel British, not English. But this is Catch London. So this is a lovely, funky collection. Now, a lot of these are made out of recycled materials. It's a cheaper price point than Tom Davies. These are something like, I want to say $60 wholesale, something like that. Uh-huh. Made in Britain. The acetates are also made here. So I'll show you my acetate kitchen. There's all kind of funky stuff in them. So these I can charge these up. Nice. These will glow in the dark, as in actually glow in the dark, like the stars you put on the ceiling. Or these ones here. If you go under black lights into a nightclub, these will glow in the dark. It's not all glow in the dark silliness. It's a lot of it is just there's some.
Tom, can you bring a pair of those to New York? I'd love to wear those out. When we go out in New York at Expo, I'd love to wear a pair of the glow in the dark ones. That'd be great.
There's going to be, I tell you what, there's going to be, well, I'll be bringing them definitely to New York. So you have to come and get some off the stand. But I mean, so these colors here, you could just see lovely shapes, but these are all made
so nice.
on my athlete kitchen downstairs. I'm going to show you in a minute.
So those are cool.
This is what we'll be doing in New York. So we're inviting we're inviting 10,000 opticians in America to come to our stand. Hopefully they don't all turn up at once to actually use the kitchen and make their own material like this. So Catch London, there's no bespoke in Catch London per se, but there is the ability to create materials and turn them into frames.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit custom, but yeah, there's some really great frames. I mean, I'm very excited to show these in America for the first time. I just think these are, there's a lot
amazing
of
stuff that you guys are doing with the acetate. I should say, okay, so most people I imagine are going to be listening, via audio podcast, Spotify, Apple, whatever. But if you get a moment, if you have the time, please hop over to YouTube and watch this. YouTube.com/Harbir Sian, Harbir Sian OD. There's no dot in there, but you'll find the podcast. Watch this. And you'll see all the cool stuff that Tom has here, like really, really cool colors and combinations of colors, really fun stuff. I love that. And also because in a few minutes, we're going to go down and check out the factory. So I want everyone to see that as well. But I'll be showing clips of that on social media, make sure everybody catches that. Pretty amazing stuff. Actually, Tom, if you could explain bespoke, could you explain that word just so everybody's on the same page?
Okay, so bespoke is an old English word, which means spoken for or bespoken. And where it comes from is people would go into their tailors and the tailor would show them the materials. They'd choose the material. The tailor would write their name on it and that material would be bespoken for. So that's where the word bespoke comes from. And then as you're in the tailor would take a shape in a suit that you like, and then he would fit it to you, and make your shoulders look stronger and your waist look thinner. Choosing the colors you like, getting the size fitting, make it comfortable. And what I do in bespoke eyewear is I do pretty much the same thing. You choose the material, you choose a frame that you like out of the collection, and then you make it fit for the customer. So whereas in MD 1888, there are only 3 different front sizes, in Tom Davies Bespoke, you've got 25 front sizes, and that's different combinations of nose fit and the A and the B measurement. So there should be no reason why you can't pick any frame out of my collection and make it fit your customer better. Or even make it fit perfectly. Then changing the colors as well, just to suit them. And you have a lot of fun playing with color. You can change the base curve as well, so that if you've got a high prescription, you don't want to be forcing a high prescription into a 400 base lens. You change that to base 3. It's a really simple thing to do, but it makes a dramatic difference to anyone over a -4 prescription, which is a lot of your customers.
Yeah.
So you're basically taking a frame that the customer already likes and using the knowledge that you already have, making adjustments, and then we make that for that customer. And then finally we engrave or we write their name bespoken for on the lens, Tom Davies for, John Smith or Doctor Who or whatever. And
did you make frames for Doctor Who?
I not yet. It's on the,
that would be cool. I like that. Well, you know what? On that note, why don't we talk about some of the people that you made frames for, or you have made frames for, if you wouldn't mind sharing. I will say the one that caught my attention a while back was Ed Sheeran. And I believe you've done that a couple of times. Is that right?
Yeah, he was probably one of my best customers. He's currently in a period of his life where he's not wearing glasses. When he's got his new album out, fresh-faced. But I think I made let's just say a lot of frames for him over the last 5 or 6 years. And yeah, he has a big wardrobe of Tom Davies glasses.
Very cool.
He's a super nice chap, knows exactly what he wants. And he really probably was, technically speaking, my best customer for about 3 or 4 years running. My previous best customer was Carrie Fisher. She ordered about 30 frames a year.
A year? Wow.
A year. Yeah. And she was a really good customer, but she just loved the process. We sit down for hours and just sit with a sketch pad and draw stuff. She was a lot of fun. I liked her. Very sad. But she was my previous best customer. And then my previous best customer, that was a chap called Heston Blumenthal, who you probably haven't heard of in America. It's a TV personality in the UK.
I see.
And he's still a very good customer. Anyway, no. So lots of, but I don't like giving glasses away for people. People don't respect it when you give stuff away.
Yeah.
So most of my famous customers have paid for it, which means I can't talk to you too much about them.
Oh, that's fair.
Unless they've mentioned me. So Ed Sheeran, he talks about me on his Instagram, so that's fine. Yeah. And I've done a lot of film work where I make glasses for celebrities, and that's okay because that's part of the marketing of the film. Yeah. So I had I made glasses for Spider-Man, for Tom Holland, the same movie, Jake Gyllenhaal. They're both super nice people. And, I've done.
That was I see that. Home. No, which one was that? Far From Home. Is that? Do you remember? Is that the? Yeah. Oh wow, cool.
One of the reasons I like doing the film work is it's just great to go on the set. I mean, I was on a set a couple of days ago for a really big movie. I can't tell you about it just yet.
So much secret stuff.
It's not one you're going to beep out earlier. You're going to have to beep that out. You get me in trouble. But this other one, it's just great to see these huge sets and see. It's like people pay to go on studio tours, and I'm there sort of for real,
Yeah.
And I really.
So cool.
I really like that. I really like seeing the film sets, seeing all the props and everything.
Let's talk about a couple that you've done, just so we don't get in trouble by accidentally mentioning upcoming stuff. The Matrix. I know you did a lot of stuff for The Matrix, and I even have my Morpheus clip right here, which
you got your Morpheus next year?
Yeah, super cool. Super cool. I'm going to put it on here.
So I've got one here. So we were talking about this before we came on, but what I've done, I can guarantee you this. This is my top tip for everybody. Stick whatever your reading prescription is, get a clear pair with like a +125 in it or something like that, because it's the best lying in bed reading glasses you'll ever have. Really, I use them every day, night and day. I've got to get myself some extra pairs. They're so good.
That's awesome. What a cool idea.
Bed needs a pair of these.
You're right. Well, like you were saying earlier, because you always end up like leaning on your hand or the pillow and your glasses will get pushed up against your face. These don't touch your temples, so they're never going to get pushed out of place. That's amazing.
Honestly, the best thing you'll ever, best top tip for this podcast, don't listen to anything else. Don't get yourself pince-nez. Matrix Morpheus. They're for sale from me. I can sell to you. I don't really make any money on those. I just did it for fun. I think we made about 1,000 of those, and they're all limited edition. And I've got about 800 pieces left of those, I think. Get some pince-nez, put a +125 in. Best thing you'll ever do.
Genius. And the mechanics on that stuff on the clip is amazing. The way it works is so cool. Genius. Great. Well, should we talk about the upcoming shows, or should we do the factory tour first? What would you prefer?
Let's finish off with the factory tour. I don't know what's going on down there.
Let's continue.
Moving around.
Well, the big one we're going to talk about is Vision Expo, but I know that you have another show coming up real soon in the UK. Is that right? The Great British Eyewear Show. Is that something that you put on yourself, or you're involved in somehow?
Yeah, I just can't help myself sometimes. I really shouldn't do it, but I couldn't help myself. I thought I wanted a trade show because all the trade shows in Europe got cancelled because of COVID this season. No one was brave enough to put on a show. And, eyewear brands like me, we need shows. And then there was a British show which was pushed out from January, which is, it was Omnicron around at the time. So fair enough. They pushed that one out. So I thought, oh, Christ, that's it. I'm going to do a trade show. So I'd actually put one on the Great British Eyewear Show last November, and it was a great success. It was just, we just found a really cool space. I called up a couple of the brands that I'm friends with. We said, look, let's all chip in. So we all put in some money together, and we hired this place called a Custard Factory in central England.
I like the name.
A great show on. It was really good. We sold more glasses there than we did at Opti in Germany the previous January, and it cost very little, and the opticians liked it. It was like it was a community thing. So no one made any money. I didn't make any money. So we had money left over. Said, right, let's book some masseuses. Let's get the Indian food in. Let's get the Indian food. Let's book a DJ. We've got too much money. Let's have a party. Let's get some booze in. So we ended up getting all this stuff in, and people seem to appreciate it. And they come up we had hired a barrister. Let's get a barrister in. And barrister's making coffee, and people come up and get their coffee, and they go, "How much is that?" I go, "That's free." And they go, "What?" I says, "Yes, free." And so the opticians seem to enjoy themselves. So we put this show on again. We put a different location in the north of the country. Great British Eyewear too, and the GBs we're calling it now. So the GBs, we put the GBs on, and the same sort of thing. We've got bottomless pizza. We've got it's actually in a nightclub and a restaurant combined. So we've also got some CDP or CT points. So we've got some things where opticians can get some.
I see. Education in that.
Yeah. We've got lectures going on. I'm taking my acetate kitchen there, so opticians come in and make acetate. And we've got 35 brands, and we all chipped in. And basically, anyone who comes, they're going to get free drinks, free pizza, free massages, whatever. And and it's just this is fun. It's fun, and trade shows can be a little bit stiff and too big sometimes. Yeah. That said, I am really super looking forward to the New York show, and it is my biggest ever trade show. So I've always gone two ways. I like the small shows, and now I'm going massive. I mean, I'm spending like $100,000 on this show in New York.
Wow,
it's crazy. But I've shipped over a full acetate kitchen to New York. I've got like 30 staff coming, and we've got we literally hired out a whole hotel. And we've got, we've got the three brands there, but I've got two stands, one for Tom Davies and MD888 over here, because I want to keep the Catch London to breathe on its own. So, here I've got a acetate plate. That is what opticians will be asked to make when they come onto my stand. So if you're listening to this, I'm holding up a sheet of acetate and a stencil. You can see that's what you'll be cutting out of. But you'll see my acetate kitchen on the floor. That's the ability to make your own material.
Yeah.
And then if you open an account with me, you can choose any frame out of the collection, and we'll turn it into your plate, your design you actually made in the show. And so I've never done this before. It might be an epic fail. It won't. It's going to be awesome.
No, it's going to be amazing.
And it's something new, which I think, something new, something brand new in eyewear. Come to trade show, design and make your own material.
How cool is that?
It's probably going to work.
You know what? Even if it were to fail, I feel like it's going to be like the Cybertruck, Elon Musk and the Cybertruck, and he throws the brick at the window and it broke. It's going to be like that. It's going to be like draw everybody's attention and see, look what Tom was doing. Look at this cool thing. Even if it doesn't work, I think you're still going to get all the credit for putting forth an amazing effort. And when I went to Vegas last year for Expo West, you guys had a nice sort of a more discreet, kind of a smaller setup in a suite there, where I was fortunate enough to do that, to mix some colors and get a frame made. I don't have it with me because it's in the car. I actually wear it. Because that was actually what happened in Vegas is we actually made a mini acetate kitchen, shipped it over, and it got stuck. Global shipping being a nightmare at the moment. Oh, right.
So what could happen in New York is currently everything's on a ship on its way to New York, and it still hasn't docked. But what I've done this time is I've actually made two more acetate kitchens. They're sitting downstairs. So if it goes tits up, as we like to say in England, I'm going to stick it on an airplane, and it's going to cost an absolute fortune. But,
oh my God.
What could go wrong is not the process, because the process works.
Yeah.
It could either not arrive, or it could be too successful. Because I did this once at an event in England, and there was it was like a little mini trade show. There was 16 brands there, and our brand had a 2-hour queue to get on the stand.
Wow.
And all the other brands were empty, looking at us like with evil eyes. So
yeah, I have a feeling that is more likely scenario.
It could be, but with this time instead, I've got 3 acetate kitchens instead of 1, and I've got an army of people there. I was just on the phone before we spoke to a guy from military costumes, trying to see if I can get some bearskin hats and red outfits, so I can get some security guards on the stand, to beat up all the opticians feverishly trying to get free glasses off us. So
what are those called? The guards at for the palace? Are those beef
I think it's called a beef. It's not called a beef. There are beef eaters, but beef eaters are something different. But it's called the Royal Guard, and they wear
just a Royal Guard.
Bearskin hat and a scarlet-coloured outfit. And I'm struggling to get the bearskin hats, because I might be able to get them, but I'm not entirely sure I can import them into America. But anyway, that's another thing.
Oh my God.
Our actual bearskin.
I love how big you think, and I love how like extravagant you like to make things. It's so cool. I feel like we're missing that in a lot of ways, in a lot of places. We've tend to commoditize and mainstream everything, and you're really, really doing such a cool job of staying out in that space and making that luxury and that the unique experience, making it kind of vital to what your brand is. I think that's so cool. So
I can tell you this, I feel like we're a startup company, a 20-year-old startup. That's probably
the fact that you still feel that way, like it's a startup after 20 years, is so cool. Again, from an entrepreneur's perspective, to maintain that mindset all these years is amazing. That's what's going to help you continue to innovate. So thank you for continuing to do that. I think it's so cool. So let's talk about Expo East a little bit more. So what can us who are attending the show expect, or where should we go? What should we look for? Like, tell me more. Okay. So you're going to are you doing the thing where you're sending out a ticket to people, or the whole Willy Wonka, people getting that golden ticket?
Yeah, so the golden ticket we actually, I originally had this idea and plan ready for 2020 New York. So this Catch London brand was going to be launching in New York in March 2020.
I see.
And it was, oh God, it's heartbreaking, but but nevertheless, it was such a good idea. So, I mean, again, I know you've got not many people watching this, but this will be coming through the post for people. Wow. You need to look out for this. Yeah. Because inside is a golden ticket, and we've been selecting, basically most opticians in America, hand selecting people to send these to, but we don't have an exhaustive list. But there's the golden ticket. You'll be getting one of these through the post, and you need that to be able to come onto the stand, and that's so that we can track it. So if we haven't sent you a golden ticket, oh dear, and you're listening to this, you probably ought to give us a call and ask. So we can get one.
It's amazing.
Because it's not that it could just be that the mailing list isn't very good. I had a couple of interns over from the Netherlands about 3 years ago, and I got them to go through every website they could, and they spent about 6 months robbing about 10,000 email addresses. Wow. And a database. So that's a list that's going out. So it could be that you're not on the list. So you maybe want to contact us if you haven't got something like this from us in a couple of weeks. But this golden ticket allows you to go on the stand and design a acetate plate. And as I say, what we'll do is you choose a frame, and we'll cut it out of your creation. So, well, you've had it done, and it's good fun, isn't it?
It's amazing. What a cool experience. Very, very cool experience. And again, taking that whole Willy Wonka thing to the next level, here you are printing out golden tickets to invite people to your factory. So cool. To your makeshift factory there at Expo. So that's pretty amazing. If anybody out there is thinking about going to Expo, I'm going finally for the first time. I'm going to Vision Expo East. I've been trying to go for years, and I'm finally able to go this year. Knock on wood, if everything goes well. Make sure you're there. Make sure you check out House of Tom Davies and get your golden ticket and go get your frames made and really experience the brand and everything that Tom stands for. It's such a cool experience.
Yes, you'll be looking for the Catch London stand. It's a separate stand. The Catch London stand, you'll be looking at that for the golden ticket.
The golden tickets for Catch London.
It's a ginormous stand. You're going to see it. It's in the main. You're going to see. It's going to be there. You should be able to find it.
Amazing. So,
should we go have a look at the factory?
Yes, I was going to say, is it about time we go for a little walk now?
Okay. Now I'm going to try and describe this to folk. In fact, I tell you what, I'm going to hand over to my glamorous camera lady. There's Casey. It's going to be my cam. And we're going to have a look around the factory. I'll try and narrate what we're seeing because obviously people are listening. But basically, we're up here. We go on to mezzanine, and you can see down here. You know what? I can't even see what I'm pointing at. Never mind. Here we are down here. I like standing up here. It's one of my favourite places to stand. I can see everyone working, see all the machinery. These are my new babies down here. So these are two brand new CNC machines. They've just been plugged in. They haven't even cut a pair of glasses yet, but they will speed up my bespoke production by around 200%.
Wow.
Which is pretty good.
Because bespoke is growing quite a lot. Just on this area here is our kitchen. This sort of kitchen area, it's a circular route, so you can go walk all around here.
Oh, wow.
That's a TV bar. So we socialise here. We've got a roof bar. We've got 3 layers of offices, and you can walk around here. And everyone, this is a central area where everyone bump into each other and enjoy each other's company and have ideas, and it works. Okay, let's have a quick look.
I like that. So Tom, if I could say, we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you if you're a bit further away. So if it's possible to stand closer, that'd be great.
Now, this is a problem that the Aztec kitchen was
Just here. And there's some leftover bits of the Aztec kitchen because I've just moved it over to here. So this is the Aztec kitchen in London factory. And you can see all these beautiful chips. And these are what you make colors out of. So we've got the colors there. These chips glow in the dark. Well, you know what, Casey? Do me a favor. Go and get the blue light torch from my desk and a couple of glow in the dark frames. We'll show you that. Here is an acetate plate I made this morning.
Wow.
You can see there's greens and yellows and browns. Got this lovely crystal there, lovely green color. And what one does is you take the chips, you give it a turn. I've got now about 25 grams in there. I'm going to do a little bit of this color as well. That's the brown. So I've got a nice sort of khaki color. And why not have a bit of craziness in it? Why would we put some of these chips? It's like a demi. Oh, look at that. It's madness. But, oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely stunning.
Pretty cool, actually. Wow.
Right. That is really outrageously good. So here I've got a metal mold. There we go. And we're going to pour that into the metal mold. So I'm pouring the chips into a mold now. And we're going to just do that across there. Just make it nice and flat. Oh, it's beautiful. This mold is still warm from the previous job with making one in. Now that plate is like that. I stick that on top of there. So we put a plate on top. There we go. Okay, now this beautiful thing here will go into the oven. Now those ovens have been unplugged, so we're just moving it. But since we're still running today, a few more plates, this old machine is still plugged in. Oh, this is the prototype of the machine. But that will go in there. I'm going to cook that frame, and it's going to be beautiful. That will be ready to produce inside half an hour. That could be actually made. So let's have a look around here. Casey, do me a favor. Oh, there's some on my desk. I want the glow-in-the-dark frames. Is it there? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show you in here while Casey's running off. This is final QC. So you can see beautiful Catch London frames being finally QC'd. Also, actually, over in the corner here, I've got a couple of lasers. These is for engraving people's names on for Bespoke.
Oh, wow.
We do a lot of that. So there's some Matrix glasses, Morpheus's nose clip. I don't know what they're doing there. Someone must have just ordered them. There we go. I'm going to quickly run out here. Okay, back on the floor. This is tumbling. In here, we go. That's tumbling where you polish the frames. It'll start tonight with some frames in there. I've got a gold plating lab in here.
Gold plating lab. Wow.
In here, we've got a gold plating line. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you some glow-in-the-dark glasses.
Oh, yeah. You can already see that there. Yeah, that's so cool.
There we go. Glow-in-the-dark glory.
Very noticeable there. So these frames are
actually. This doesn't need blue light. This is without blue light. If I put blue light on, it doesn't make any difference. These are, like the stars you might have in the ceiling.
Yep. That's really glowing. Like you said earlier, like almost like a lightsaber on your face. Yeah, that's like glowing off of the frame. That's amazing.
So that's
part of the Catch London line, the glowing frame?
Yeah, everything is on Catch London. If I just go over here, I think this is a glow-in-the-dark plate. Let me see. Here we are. Casey's bringing me, that's it. These ones are with blue light. So the one I showed you a second ago is, Casey, you take that. The one I showed you a second ago was with its own phosphorescent in. And this one's here.
Oh.
And that's the blue light stuff.
Yeah.
So if you go on a cruise ship in a nightclub or whenever you go out, that's where you go. Is that glowing in the dark, Casey?
Yep.
Yeah. How about the other ones? These are brand new, by the way.
I hope people are actually going over to YouTube to watch these. This is so cool. These frames are glowing actually like that.
Okay, so that's a lot of fun. It's just my latest invention. That's in my. We can go out now. That's in the acetate kitchen. Okay. Titanium area.
Titanium.
Big stores. People the acetate.
This is a huge place, Tom. Wow.
All of these things around. These are the temple arms. This is where we make the temple arms, and we just moved them here.
Okay.
We're just shuffling it around. That's why they're not running.
So those make the temples. Okay.
Again, we've just moved the polishing section here. So that's a new polishing machine. That's a titanium polishing machine. That's going to go there. Thank you very much. And that's the acetate polishing machine, which has just arrived there. Okay. This is where we do temple matching. This is where you put the base curve in the frame. And here we have temple matching as well. and that's horn repair. This is hinge planting. This is where we plant a hinge from there into a frame. So that's the bit where that.
Wow. So literally every aspect of the frame is done here in this factory.
Everything but titanium welding. We're not doing that yet, but that is planned. I just need to sell a few more glasses so I can afford to buy the machines. They're really expensive laser welders.
Fair enough.
But I have to outsource that at the moment, which is why titanium takes so damn long.
Got you.
Bespoke
Titanium
production.
welding. Yeah, that's.
So yeah, that's the main sort of stuff. I mean, there's other stuff you probably don't need to see, like the logistics room,
Sure.
the Lego room. You don't need to see the Lego room, do you?
The Lego room. You know, you got my interest now.
Oh, all right then. We're gonna have a Lego room.
How could we not see the Lego room? We have to.
Oh, here's my first machine. There we go. This is made 683,216 bespoke pairs of glasses.
That is
there
incredible.
So I made that a long time ago. I'll just quickly show you in here. This is one of my other favorite rooms. Alexa, relax me.
Oh, wow. You got yourself a nice massage chair. Oh, is Alexa supposed to play some nice music for you?
You're playing some music. She's supposed to make the lights go dark. Go on, give me some dark lights. Oh, well, never mind. She's going to do it as soon as I leave.
That's a nice little sanctuary that you have there.
It's the most popular. It's the most popular room in the factory. Okay, we're just going to come into this logistics room, and I have the Lego room hidden in here because they are as valuable as all these glasses, millions of pounds of the glasses. Here we go.
Oh, it actually says Lego on the door as well. That's awesome. Wow, Tom. Amazing.
There we go. There's my Lego room. Mrs. Davis kicked out my Lego collection a long time ago, but thankfully I have a big factory I can put it all in.
Yeah. I have some friends who are absolute Lego fanatics, and they have all sorts of incredible stuff. Yours is the biggest collection I've seen so far, though. That's impressive.
So there we go. I'm just going back up to the offices, back to my desk, so we can sign off. There we go. This is a little bit the heart of the nerve center.
How many square feet is the entire place? That's a big place that you have there.
I ought to know that, shouldn't I? I'm going to say, actually, no idea. Okay. 65,000 square feet.
I mean, that sounds like a reasonable number. It's huge.
I roughly made that up. This is my desk. There's glasses. I mean, literally, it is chaos, absolute chaos. That's some glasses from Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned that. The new Jurassic Park movie. We're allowed to talk about that one?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. It wasn't a big one. They just bought some sunglasses. No, I didn't buy them. I made them, but they just basically paid for them, and just for a couple of characters. Nothing too fancy.
Very nice.
Whereas if I do work on a big film like Matrix, that was like a 2-year project. I've got a couple of big project films, and that they're much more carefully considered. And you know, working with the costume director and working with the director of the movie, and because glasses are so much about character. So when I'm making a bespoke frame for somebody, you're always thinking about their character, what you want them to project, and how they want to, you know, how you can make them look and how they can feel, and that is the same with film. You know, it's filming glasses in films is really difficult to do well because there's lots of egos, there's lots of decisions about what can and can't work. Everyone's got an opinion. Lots of creative people there, so glasses just don't tend to happen. So that's why I think I've been quite successful, because, you know, there's no compromise with, you know, you want to have these glasses, right? We're going to get those glasses for you. Yeah. And if the actor says, well, I want it to be like this, I want it to be like this, then we'll get that for you as well.
Right.
And it's, you know, it's the reason the film industry is so successful for me, but I do it for fun, because what I really love doing is making glasses for everybody, like normal people, changing their character. You can have such a massive impact on someone's lives when you give them a great frame that fits them, and I think that's the number one reward, I think, for all our jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can impact somebody's life positively, that really is kind of the foundational thing that we're all trying to do. You said changing character. That reminds me, you made a pair for Clark Kent for this Warner Brothers exhibition that's happening. Can you tell us a bit about that?
That's going to be around my desk somewhere, because
I feel like I have to tiptoe. I have to question myself before I bring something up, because I don't know if it's public or information or not.
No. So we're doing a Warner Brothers 100-year anniversary exhibition in London a couple of weeks' time. So this is Clark Kent's glasses from the film. Wow. It's Henry Cavill. If you're looking at this on YouTube, you'll see that the arms are incredibly long because, as a lot of people, glasses are just too short. And, one of the most common things we do in Bespoke is make the arms longer. But in this case, I did a lot of work on this frame to make Henry Cavill not look like cool Superman. And I actually quite like this frame myself. It's too long.
That's a really nice frame.
But it's
Henry Cavill actually wears those. Did he wear them in the movie, or he's wearing them in person, or what's the?
No, in the movie. So the aim was to make him, when you put them on, to make him not look like Superman. It's a disguise. So a lot of superheroes, they put a mask on, but with Superman, he takes his mask off, or in our case, he takes his glasses off. So when he puts his glasses on, he shouldn't look like Superman. That's the number one aim. So I look very carefully at all these lines around his face because he's got a superhero chiseled jaw. The guy's very, square. Yeah. And if I was going to make him a pair of glasses, normally it wouldn't be these because, but these do look good on him. But they have the effect of changing what he looks like. Yeah. So that was the idea. We did him in buffalo horn, and I had to make him fit his nose and make him look good. And it was one of my proudest moments. I mean, Superman was the number one person. He was the number one person I wanted to make glasses for in the world.
That's amazing.
So then I achieved that one. So
how incredible is that? How cool is that? Wow. Definitely. I can't even put it to words how amazing that, because I'm a big comic book superhero fan. So the fact that you've made glasses for Superman is incredible. So Tom, there's two questions I like to ask every guest before we at the end of every podcast. But before we get there, I'd like if you could just share with us, where can people find you? Where can people find the brand, like online or offline? What's the best place for everyone to go?
I don't sell my glasses to the end user, Tom Davies anyway. And I do sell some MD online and Eyewear in Cash London, but the truth is I think we sold 2 pieces. I don't believe in online glasses selling really. It's part of the service. You need a service, but with MD, the service is important. With Bespoke, the service is critical. With Cash London, you could sell that to end users, but you can go to the websites as an optician and see the collections, but I don't put even the full collections online either. I like people to meet with people. So we have sales reps who can come and see you. We've got the trade shows you can come and see it at. And meet in person. We want to make sure we've got good partnerships with people. So, that's also important. We don't say yes to everybody. We want to make sure that, it's got a good relationship, the right fit, because otherwise you'll waste people's time and money and our time and money as well. So it's definitely a people person and relationship person. And we have a sales team in America. I've just hired 15 new sales reps at Catch London in America. So hopefully you'll be well served by them. And I've got 6 reps for Tom Davies and MD as well. So I've got a big team in America, and I've got an office in Chicago. I'll be there in a few weeks' time, working away. Cool. It's all good stuff.
It's amazing. Wow. So much cool stuff. So if you're in North America and you're listening to this and you're curious, I mean, I'm if you want to message me on Instagram, I can send you 2 people that I know who are working, but Mickey has been amazing. Mickey Collins I think she's based in Seattle. And she was telling me that there's now a huge team. So we can for sure get you on in touch with somebody who can help you bring the brand in. But if you happen to be in non-optical, reach out to your optician or optometrist and tell them that you're interested in this brand. That might help them bring it in as well. And so, more people can start to actually see this amazing stuff. And Tom, I can't wait till I'm in London next, and because I want to pop into your Central London store and check it out and really get that full experience. I'm really excited to get that as well.
Well, you may more than welcome to. We're going to trial an acetate kitchen in one of our shops, see if end users like the idea. But you never know. But you're welcome into the factory, and so your listeners. That's what we're here for. Yeah. Come and have some fun and play in the Willy Wonka's silly eyewear factory. It's a very serious place of business.
I love it. So the 2 final questions that I ask every guest at the end of the podcast. The first is, Tom, if we could hop in a time machine and go back to a point in your life where things were difficult, if you'd like to share the moment, you can. But more importantly, what advice would you give to yourself at that time?
The only time life was difficult was when I was a teenager, like 14, 15. But I wouldn't really give myself any advice. You need to get on with it and sort it out.
That's advice. That's good. Just get on with it.
What am I giving advice? It might change who I am today. So, nothing I want to change. No, keep my mouth shut. I I'd use a time machine to go forward so I can have a look at what becomes of humanity. That's what I'd like to do.
I got you. This one only goes back to painful parts of your past. Unfortunately, it's a very unique time machine. All right, that's good. Well, but you know what? That's nice to hear as well. You know, from somebody who's been successful. It's nice to hear that you're happy where you are and you wouldn't change it, because I guess those difficult times have helped you grow to who you are now. So that's an important lesson still. So the final question then is, everything you've achieved, how much of it would you say is due to luck and how much is due to hard work?
I think I'm quite a lucky person, generally speaking. I know I am. But whether they're blessed with that from the cosmos or whether actually you make your own luck, I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm lucky that I was born into Britain with the privileges and access to education. And that's something not to be underestimated. But from that moment onwards, you make the best of what you've got. Yeah. I can say that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That is lucky in a way, of course, being born in a certain place and to certain parents, or in certain family. But then from there, lots of people have that privilege. But then where do you take it from there? That's all all on you, right? So that's excellent. Well, Tom, any other final words you'd like to share? Any other last bits of information you want people to know about yourself or the brand?
No, I just all I'd say is if you like to come to New York and make some acetate frames, you can't make it, maybe we'll come and see you with a portable acetate kitchen. Maybe can't promise anything at the moment. And or maybe New York, a Vision Expo, or whenever. Or if you fancy a trip to Blighty over the pond, why not come over and check out my stores here, come to the factory. But most of all, nothing. Just be happy and carry on. Keep calm and carry on. That's
keep calm and carry on. That's the most perfect British thing that you could say. That's great. That's excellent. Well, thank you so much, Tom. Honestly, this has been an honor for me. Speaking, as I was saying, I'm someone who's been admiring you and your brand from afar, to actually have this opportunity to speak to you one-on-one and share your story with the audience. It's really, really incredible. I'm super excited to meet you in New York, hopefully in about a month from when we're recording this. And everybody out there who's listening, please check out the brand. I know maybe the brand doesn't have so much of a footprint in North America just yet, but you're going to start hearing about it a lot more now moving forward. And definitely you're going to want to have this brand in your store, in your optical. And it's going to be a brand that a lot of people are talking about. So thanks again, Tom, for coming on. And thank you everybody who's listening, who's watching. If you didn't watch it, please go back to YouTube, check it out. There's so much cool stuff that Tom was actually showing on camera that I'd love for you to see. And, I'm sure you took some value away from this. I'm sure it was entertaining. If anything, Tom is such an entertaining person. And if you found it entertaining or valuable, please do share it, take a screenshot, throw it up on Instagram, tell a friend, post it on LinkedIn, whatever you do. All of those things you do are really helping the podcast. So thank you all so much. And I will see you in New York, Tom. I'll see you at Vision Expo, and I'll see everybody else in the next episode.
Very good. Cheers.
Take care.